We have December 9th already. Oh my goodness. And this is a CCD workshop.
Mhm.
Want your roll call?
Susan.
Here.
David Hume. Here. Gary Keelock. Here.
Shell Hart. Here.
Shannon Hoffman. Here.
Okay, and we're waiting for the sheriff. I think just to finish the thought is, from what I said, or we should stand for the.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think it's a good conversation to have with him because it's part of it is what appreciating the history of how we got here. Part of me says that's interesting. Part of me says I don't care because what do we want today? Where are we at today and what we think we need? And I think there's a lot of value and appreciation from the community to the fact that we are paying for extra details that quite honestly, the county is just not resourced to do. So I don't. And that's not just policing. We do that. Street sweeper, we do that with other things that really aren't our function, but we choose to do because the community has an expectation for it. To Jack's point, I just want to see some efficiency in that, both on the delivery of the expectation, but also on the cost side of, are there smarter ways to do it? When we're up at $250,000 for details, I got to take a look and say, if there's a number that can get me to half of that, which we have in front of us, we got to look at that.
Yeah, and especially as we came from and now we're ending up at close to 250. That's a huge jump.
Okay.
It's just gonna be very hard to measure, like you said, from what residents are expecting, or not, or this and that. I mean, like you said, there's just so many opinions, but there's not a lot of data points to measure.
Well, and the first thing I'd like to hear is the sheriff made a comment that they think they can increase patrols based on increased staffing.
They have.
I don't know how to measure
We
it.
don't get it. I mean, I feel it. I see it. I feel it.
The conversation I had with Tom is there is an obvious increase of presidents swimming here every day. I agree. Okay, so this is the sheriff that was appointed.
Mhm.
He get elected. Does that go away? Is that his commitment?
The answer is that's probably gonna change with every elected official you get.
Right. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
I'm gonna delay again. It was in the depth session.
No,
I'm trying to be Kim about and,
All this fun stuff.
oh yeah, it's been a day for sure. I haven't stopped one bit, so.
Well, hopefully we can slow it down just a little.
Don't slow down a lot.
No, we don't want the meeting to go on forever. We're also going to want lightning round questions. So
There you go.
So Greg, you're closest to this in terms of the dedicated.
Do we want to start with that?
Yeah, that's the first one I think we should.
You've seen the agenda. Just going through the agenda.
Yeah.
I just trying to pull it up here. Yeah.
So this one is not on. Water report, e-bikes, yeah, but it's not.
Needs to be the first thing.
Dedicated full-time deputy is the first thing.
But one dedicated officer was 5E. So we'll move that to the front. Okay.
Yeah, let's move it to the front, because that's, I mean, we can hit the other ones, but
Yeah.
this is gonna take the longest time to go to.
So just to level set everybody, so you had sent the numbers over, sir, I appreciate it, a couple months ago. Forwarded that over to the board. So I guess first, are those numbers still the right ballpark? There's nothing's really
Do
changed.
you get the latest updated numbers from Christine, for our director from finance?
Only ones I got were the ones you sent over a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Well, send it to you so you can send it to the board.
Send it to Carrie.
Yeah.
Are they better numbers? Worse numbers? I mean, that's.
You know, those are very subjective question. Find better.
Add them all up at the bottom.
Well,
line. Is it bigger or smaller?
Angel sent out something on yesterday.
That was me re-forwarding her the numbers from.
Yeah, that's not the
That
same.
wasn't the new one.
Okay.
What is the biggest issue you guys have in celebration right now? In celebration, so you guys know I've been working celebration all my career. So I started in 1999. I've been in most of my career. I've been spending the west sector of the county. So not only have I worked it, but I've also enjoyed celebration on the national level as well, right? When I'm up to. So
Well, and that's interesting.
for what it's worth, I love celebration and anything with celebration that will happen. I wish I could live here. It's just house prices went up too quick here. So
Very
that out of my reach at this point. So my wife used to live in Artisan Park.
Yeah.
And so we had a great time here in celebration. So it means a lot, right?
Right.
So and I can do for celebration, it will be done.
So I think our biggest challenge is really it's not the issues we're having in celebration. Sometimes more clarification stuff. The first topic in terms of trying to figure out the best policy that we can go ahead and do. Maybe policy is not the right word because we pay for extra deputies every day, right? And so is that the best thing to do? Do we need do we have maybe too many deputies? Is the focus maybe too much on giving tickets for drivers as opposed to other things? I mean, there's a big mix there.
Well, as we've all talked about it, and I've lived here 20 years. The development's grown, obviously, so there's evolving needs just on physical amount of people. When you look at how much we were paying X number of years ago to today, it's like a 2.5x.
So I'm part of my board of where I work. Part of one of the board members. I'm a voting board member of my subdivision. I live off Narcoossee Road. I live there, and so cost for me is huge. Right. I think for the amount of crime, which is barely none, and celebration, for the amount of deputies that we have and the 2 zones that we have assigned and all that stuff and community services and all that. This is just my personal opinion. I'm sitting in front of a lot of smart people here, and I'll say I'm very honest, right? I'm very serious about it. I don't think you guys need that to pay that out. I'll send the numbers anyway right now. I don't think you guys need it.
Well, so let me ask this. So the sheriff came in 3-4 months ago, and I don't think you were here for that meeting. He had stopped in and he had made a comment to us that he expected, based on y'all's hiring anticipations, that you thought we were going to get to an increased level of service without any details that we're doing at some point. And I won't put words in his mouth, but it was not an over the horizon thing. It was a pretty immediate future. He thought you guys were going to be able to get that. The challenge becomes for me, and I'll try to speak on behalf of the community, is it's not, we don't have a good way to measure that, right? I mean, part of it is when the community goes out and sees you guys today, we don't know, hey, when we pass the sheriff's car, is that a detail guy that we're paying for separately, or is that something coming out of the tax? So when we're looking at it as a board, I even struggle as I go up and down the road. Hey, if I see an increased presence, is that because I happen to pass a detail or I happen to pass a deputy who's out here? I think part of my perception, and I appreciate Chell saying, hey, 20 years ago, I've been here for about 12, is I appreciated the fact that when we got here, we had somebody as a community that we could go to when we had a question, had an issue. And I think that's a lot of it and you and I have talked about it, a lot of it with the community becomes perception. Hey, they hear a story about a thing that happens and therefore, oh my God, crime is out of control. Well, part of that, it's not this board's responsibility to tell what the community crime is or respond to Facebook posts or whatever else. But I do think it is our responsibility to, if the community feels like there needs to be a resource here that's committed to the community, which in large part, all my conversations with the town have been very supportive of having a committed resource here on behalf of the town. I'm okay continuing to work that. I think part of the challenge I see is as Tom was alluding to before, is it's traffic is very easy because I can pay for a detail to go out there and write traffic tickets, and it's an easily scoreable thing, right? Hey, he wrote 10 traffic tickets as opposed to somebody wrote 2, whatever.
And traffic's preventable as well, right? You got crime prevention.
Mhm.
Traffic is a huge part of that, right? I'm not opposed to continuing the traffic detail, and I think that's a great initiative.
Mhm.
On the traffic detail that you guys have for many years. I worked it for many years. But
I think part of the challenge is it's more than just traffic. When the board terminated the contract early 20, I think it was, when Jerry Weiland was here. When that ended, I remember the conversation in the meeting was, you're still gonna, and I think the wording was, you're still gonna see Jerry, but it was more intended as, hey, you're still gonna see community officers out here to do the community engagement that the sheriff's office normally does with any community is just part of the right. I don't see that, and maybe I'm missing it, but, and I don't know what the expectation is to have somebody out here at events where we're not necessarily paying for it, but to have, whether it's at a board meeting or something like that, you guys as leadership come out here, but that's more, hey, we're trying to do that as a, we're tackling an issue as opposed to having a regular engagement that we used to have when someone like Jerry was
I've
out.
had some reports, and Jack will tell you, reading the details for years over years, they just were sporadic to none.
Yeah.
So not only is there no engagement physically with engagement in the community, no, I don't know what they're doing. So then physically, it's just traffic's getting worse, it's getting worse. And
welcome, Austin Ken.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there was a moment there that everything seemed to be going like this, while the rates are going like this, and it's like, we're all sitting here going, well, maybe we go back to the roots of Jerry Weiland again, you know?
And so we going through a transition right now where, and I'll put it out on the table. I mean, most of the people that got arrested at the sheriff's office was the community engagement. That was Marcus Lopez's little team to go to that got arrested. So I haven't been able to provide.
Thank you for explaining him out here to the council.
At least they'd include our community. Great.
Yeah. So we're trying to backfill those positions. Some of those positions have not been filled. Jerry Weiland's in the courthouse right now because he really loved this town. Then you guys know, have you guys met? I'm pretty sure Captain Heath Yeager.
Mhm.
Well, he's the captain of community services now, right? So we put him back where he belongs, right? We put him people back in where they, where they belong in the bus, right? Not the short bus, but the bus, right? Heath belongs on the short bus, but anyhow. So we try, and as we navigate through all these issues, to put people where they belong. Now, if you guys want, show you the numbers for what you have, right? More bang for your buck. What is it that you're looking for? I think the cost is too much. I truly think that. Now, I'm the dumbest guy that holds an MBA. I really am hands on a cop, right? So based on numbers, I think it just doesn't. You don't have a crime problem.
For our community, what would you guys do if you were guiding us on what we should for value that we need? What's your number?
For me, the 2 units that we have in Celebration, they come in and out. We got a lot of crime in the West Corridor, right? And we're trying to prevent trying to hold the crime outside so they don't come inside, right? Yeah. The majority of your problems in the past have been, listen, I've arrested a guy that just raped a lady here in North Village. I got in a food pursuit with him, right? And so that was quite interesting because you don't see a guy and a girl walking down the road at 2 o'clock in the morning when the girl's naked, right? So, but that was more of a domestic issue. And then we have the problems with some burglaries that we have taken, right? We arrested the people, the groups. I've done that. And one of the most problems you guys have is suicide in this community. I was a captain where the guy killed all his family. I dealt with that case, right?
And I would say, I mean, if before we even get to, hey, what would we budget into? I mean, I think from a board perspective, and I'd certainly love your input. What are our expectations for things that we as a community expect, but aren't realistic within the level of service that you would normally provide to any other community in Osceola?
Yeah, call a baseline. What's the baseline service?
Patrol the streets. And I even told my deputies something that we don't do in the community. When you go into Celebration, put your floodlights on. Not the complete lights.
Mhm.
Just the floodlights, start flooding with lights, and make sure that the community sees the lights.
Mhm.
Right. That's something that I put out there. I'm sorry that I haven't followed up on it because I'm dealing with 1,000 things right now. That's something that we could do. Some people like Washington, D.C. Police is doing that. People across the country are doing that. There's something that's in communities like it. I'm not too much into it,
Right, the spotlights on the side of the.
No, the spotlights, the floodlights, all our lights, but we put on a very low, a
Just
very,
to show up.
yeah, very low, and they just patrol that way, right? Something that, so,
We have two zones, 21, 22. Is that correct? How much time do they actually spend in celebration?
I don't know, because everything is, I can pull the calls right now to see
Yeah, I
what
just
the
wondered,
ratings are.
And I'm concerned more with residential area and things south of 417. So
Mhm.
north of 417, I don't care about.
Well, it's not even in our scope.
No, but I'm just saying, as far as looking at that, I'd be interested in finding how much time they spend in the residential area. Because I don't know.
You know what, and that's a reasonable question. Let me pull up to see where most of my guys are right now.
Because you got a huge expanse to cover from here all the way out to 27. That's two guys. That's a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of coverage.
Well, we've consistently heard those guys are always getting pulled for other things, which.
Well, no, they almost did. No, they're not going
It's just the way it is.
There's only 21, 22.
Well, yeah.
I'm talking about our traffic guys would be pulled to assist.
Oh, so the people we.
Well, I'm even talking about the zone guys that are on duty.
Yeah.
They'll get pulled out of I'll tell you right now, they'll get pulled out of celebration if something else happens.
I didn't celebration though.
Everybody does.
They're all the way down 190.
You can have an assigned zone, does not mean you're gonna stay in that zone, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody needs backup. You have an alarm call, you need 2 units minimum, right?
Yeah.
Then you have people that you have to bring people from sector 1 into
I mean, because 192 is a very busy area as far as
extremely
everything else.
busy.
I don't know how you do with just two people.
Extremely busy. It's very.
So one of the things you said, Greg,
See, I haven't very bad because I came and logged in mine. See,
it is a very defined.
It's valid as a
state.
south
So I
connection.
sent you an email
It's
saying,
like, what really
please respond. So if you get it, you can just attach the response.
Right, what, or perceive, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like they're perceived that they want something.
Mhm.
But what is it that they really need? You know what I'm saying? It's two different things, because the perception thing, it's so vague,
Well,
you can't substantiate it.
I would take it this way is from our board's perspective, I can give you the top 3 things, which if you can, I won't say fix them, but if you can be seen as to trying to fix them and apply some pressure, you will solve 90% of the perception problems. One of them is e-bikes. One of them is going to be, I'm going to call it just.
We're working with that right now, e-bikes. We're trying to work on county ordinance for that and legislation on it because there's none.
Okay, so we've got, Jan, are you on the line? Yep.
Yes, she's there,
Okay.
she's off mute.
So
Sorry, yeah, I'm here.
our attorney has been trying to get from the county for 6 months. It's kind of in a gray cloud right now as to what exactly is the county trying to do for an ordinance. We don't know. What's being discussed? Because I want to make sure it actually addresses the problem.
Because the conversation has started, we're gathering information because our undersheriff, Lee Massey,
Mhm.
he is big on that. In fact, him and I have a conversation 2 days ago regarding that. The e-bikes, because the other day we had a fatality and St. Cloud PD had a fatality in that. And we having accidents on e-bikes here in West 192 and the West 92 corridor.
Mhm.
And throughout the county, Orange County is experiencing the same issue. You know how the government works and very slow, very in a reactive more than proactive issue. And
So we've engaged the county on it, but Jan hasn't really gotten feedback other than, and Jan, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just been
Gathering information. The county attorney had nothing new other than staff was gathering more information.
and I'm not trying to beat it up. They've been gathering information for a year and a half. We've been trying to raise this as a topic. And I'm not sure what information needs to get gathered.
I'm not defending the county. It's just it is something that is so new that not even Tallahassee haven't even approached it, right? Not even the Department of Highway Safety have approached it.
Mhm.
So we are trying to get in front of it. And again, Lee Massey is working on it, trying to get ahead of it, right? And he was pushing to possibly even look at a county ordinance that we can enforce.
To ban them, to restrict them to certain, you don't know.
And that's the problem. How can you ban them? So it is definitely enforce them because a lot of them they're just breaking traffic laws. They use
Right.
They just not.
Well, and the comment I had made to your predecessors and we talked about for over a year is I feel like simply getting out and enforcing anything with kids on bikes, number one, that they're gonna, whether, because the kids that are gonna do unsafe things on bikes are also blowing stop signs or not wearing a helmet or riding on a sidewalk. They're doing things generally that, even though the e-bike laws are a little vague, there are other laws that you can pull them over for that you can have an enforcement conversation with the kids about. That way,
Well, you have the SROs and that. You can also have the community engagement team that we have. We get Jaeger.
Mhm.
Right now, he's short right now on that. I mean, I'm trying to provide deputies to him. Let me tell you something. If Heath would have a more of a full unit right now, he would be able to dedicate somebody to you guys where the phone call is there. And when some issues arises,
and we had brought this up, I think, a year ago or less, that as far as the detail piece for what we're already paying, I would love to see if we need to put detail dollars against it. That's a specific targeted problem. Hey, if you need, you tell me how many guys you need and how many man hours to say, I'm gonna do nothing but e-bike patrol type of stuff.
well,
That's useful.
how can you enforce something that is not on the books, right? So that's the problem we're facing right now. I can't enforce a law that's not on the books.
Kids not wearing helmets,
Well,
kids
that's
blowing their stop
different.
signs,
Well,
kids exceeding the speed limit.
but and again, you can do all that stuff, right?
Mhm.
I'll say, are you gonna ticket you way out of a problem like that, or what is the approach?
Well, I mean, part of it's, and that's gonna be up to you guys. And like I said, who needs to get.
Well, it's not that. It's like going to a community. You can arrest yourself out of a problem, right?
Well,
So-
but you said the other half of it before is the SROs.
Mhm.
Has anybody gone, I've talked to the three principals just personally. If the sheriff's office went through the SROs and said, if a patrol deputy goes out and writes a ticket or has any sort of engagement with a kid who is riding in an unsafe manner, you may not be able to ticket him and cite him, but you can sure go back to the SRO who can go to the principal who can then tell him, hey, listen, you're not allowed to ride your bike on school property for the next 30 days. Again, you may not have solved the immediate enforcement issue here, but I guarantee when that kid can't ride his bike,
The problem with that is a lot of the SROs want to do a little bit more. The principals are not allowing them to because of the rules of the school board, right? So a lot of the fault on this school issues falls on the principal, not on the SROs. And the SROs are trying to do their job. They don't even allow them to teach them. When I was in high school, I graduated Gateway High School in this county. We had a criminal justice class where the SRO came in and taught a class, right? Something happened, got to go, he goes. But right now in schools, SROs are not even allowed to teach.
if that's a conversation you felt your organization could have with leadership above principals to bring our lawyer into the conversation to say, hey, we as a community are seeing this. And oh, by the way, the sheriff's office is backing it up to take, because you're right, the principals may not know if they can do that. But somebody needs to poke that conversation above the principals if that's where the resistance is.
It's been addressed before and traffic. I'll give you traffic, right? Traffic people blocking, stop signs and all that. And we received an email, issues with traffic. We put it in a STEP program. We have a STEP program, STEP enforcement program. We put it with motor units, our traffic units, so on and so forth. I also put my patrol deputies to take care of that as well, right? But some of those issues sometimes, SRO can handle it real quick. When parents start lining up, hey, don't park here, don't park. The principal doesn't allow it. So now we have deputies on calls right now, right? You have robberies, you have, molestations, whatever the case might be, right? And we cannot respond to a traffic unit because when it comes to priorities, traffic issue, molestation, child abuse, burglaries, occupied burglaries, suicides, homicides. So the priority is very low.
So one of the things I think going back to what you originally said and going back to full-time deputies is the perception of the community. The biggest fear I think that people constantly said is somebody's going to get hurt. What's interesting is that the mood has changed because originally they went ahead and said, the kids could get hurt. They don't say that anymore. They say that somebody's going to get hurt. Okay. When you have 5 kids on a street blocking a lane, which is illegal for anyone, and they stay there and are flipping people off. I saw one guy, I thought the Camaro was going to plow them down. And at the last moment, he went around. Okay. This is not just minor. The anger is growing. And I've said it before that at one point, people just take the law into their own hands. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. They're going to do it. And I've seen too many near misses where people, you know, and I've seen some people going after people on e-bikes and they're just riding independently because the anger is there. Right.
And I disagree with you. I worked in for our patrol for 4 years.
Right.
And I did nothing but take crash accident scenes, right?
Right.
I was doing a deposition down on a crash where somebody was stopping at a stop sign and decided to go, and then motorcycle came in and flew, right? Flew out on how many feet. So
And I understand what you're saying. You can't ticket yourself out.
yeah, we could have, would have, you know.
But the reality though is that if the sheriff's department pulled a few folks over that weren't wearing the helmet, word starts getting around.
Yes.
Word starts getting around because this community has no problem talking to each other time and time again, right? Oh, they're starting to enforce some basic stuff. You guys go, stuff will just start simmering down. And I think that really is the point of it.
Statistical data shows that yes, you can enforce it. However, it's cyclical, right? You enforce it now, people will behave for a week. Second and third week, problem rises again, right? That's why we have step enforcement,
But then you
right?
have to-
Because if not, we wouldn't have speeders on I-4, right? Because people on I-4 gets tickets. So for that, we don't have speeders on I-4, we don't have speeders on 417, the 408, or even on communities.
Well,
Because we enforce it.
But I think to Tom's point, I mean, you had, was it Captain Montes? Did I say her name? Yeah, so she was about 2 months ago. There was like a Channel 9 thing and it ended up on social media all around here, all kind of stuff. To Tom's point, parents all over were going, oh shit. And I started seeing people actually selling their kids' bikes as a reaction to that. But then what never happened was the follow through. It was commentary in there that it can be enforced, you will be ticketed, all the things that should have been said. But then there was never actually that we saw, and maybe there was, I don't know, but there was never a community observation that actually happened. So I guess the question is that I thought it was a perfect tee up coming from her broadcast. Hey, this is something we're going to do and we can do, but then it never got done. Is that a shortage of resources?
How do we know it was never done? How do we know that?
I-
That in the 5 days a week, if I look at the step program or the step schedule, how
Would it
can
be on
you
the
tell?
blotter?
Say again?
Would it be on the blotter?
It should be on the step program. We just, it's a step enforcement in this area will be in the schedule, yes.
So that's how we would know.
So,
If we can get that.
so the assumption of it was not done, that's actually inaccurate. Because we have to make sure that whether or not it was done and through the traffic unit where they log every time they do step enforcement. Because every community has the same traffic problem. Indian Wells has it, Indian Point has it up Point Santa Boulevard, Linda, I know Linda very well there. It's the same exact complaint, right? It's the same exact complaints. BVL has it, Point Santa has it, Harmony has it, Reunion has it, right?
And I think
So-
to your point, how would anybody know? You're absolutely right. I'm going from an observation that I drive my kid to school every now and then. I didn't see it and I didn't hear anybody else talking about it. However, what I would say is for our board, we would be happy to help you advertise, and again, however you want to do that, to get the message out of, hey guys, they're doing, or you guys can do it. However, that needs to happen. But that was the piece that was missing, whether there was follow through. If there was follow through, nobody ever heard it. Hey, if we went out of this meeting and said, hey, the sheriff's department just brought us a report that says there were 50 kids that got tickets out of this bike enforcement, I guarantee there'll be a reaction to contact from the community about how the kids are going out on the bikes. But the community's not seeing that. If it may be happening, but we're not seeing that. If we can get that kind of statistic, we'll.
I mean, it seems to me that you're pushing for little kids to get tickets. That's that for me and my experience, right? I don't think that's might be a way. No, the way to do things, right? Because here we are, community this, community that, but give tickets to a 13-year-old, that's gonna affect the parents, you know?
And it's not this board's place to say whether you guys got to give a ticket or not, but just to see a deputy out there pulling a kid over and saying, hey, buddy, not the safe way you need to be riding, and just having that conversation with the kid, or however your deputies feel it's appropriate, depending on how the kid is reacting to you. Great. It's just an engagement. It doesn't have to be tickets, but to see somebody.
I think that's a very limited way of doing things. Months ago, Jan gave us a brochure from Orange County that described everything that was legal as far as riding those scooters. A couple months later, Osceola came out with a piece of crap. Okay. You need to look at the Orange County thing. It describes perfectly, you're not allowed to ride anything on the sidewalk unless it's human powered. Okay. It gives everything, but you need to have that needs to be given out as a brochure to the kids at school. Let them take it home to the parents. Let the parents see it. Send it as a note, but you need to educate first. Okay. You're going to get a much better response through education than you are by individual tickets somewhere, then
Jack, I think it's
that
only
display
a
graph.
month. But even on the education piece, we got Jan telling us that she doesn't even think the Orange County one is legal.
So
I'm telling you right now, there is no legislation on e-bikes in the state of Florida anywhere. I just want to let you know that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we're done. We're wasting our breath. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just enforcement.
Well, and this was jumping to the e-bike conversation and going back to the
Yeah,
single deputy conversation. That was, my point on that was if you find a couple targeted topics, as opposed to right now, we're paying for deputies and the targeted topic generally is traffic. And whether or not we're moving the needle on traffic safety or not, I don't know how to measure that.
it's a constant, traffic is a constant issue, right?
Right.
It's just a constant thing that it just, again, you know how many millions the state spends on traffic, still we got fatalities, right?
Yep.
So, hence the legislation came in for the super speeder of 50 miles over and all that. And you can see the laws getting stringent and stringent because people don't learn the lesson, right? And they keep speeding. I mean, an OPD officer got arrested by a fish speed the other day going 50 miles over. This speed limit. An officer, a police officer.
So from the sheriff's perspective, is there anything you guys are seeing in any of our crime statistics or reports or feedback from your deputies, or is there anything you guys feel like needs to be a targeted thing that you just don't have the resources to get after that would generally improve the safety of the community or improve the engagement of the sheriff's office with the community?
When our units are on duty, they patrol their zones, right? They really do. And other than when they need to respond to an area, they patrol, right? So I can pull the camera right now, which is armed with GPS, right? And I can tell you how many years behind celebration right now, as we speak.
I'm gonna go back to my first question.
Yeah.
As a consultant, if we hired you to consult for us and say, based upon the growth of our community, the maturity of our community, the expectations of the residents, the tax base and the affluence, because they pay a lot of taxes, how would you guide us about details, restructuring the $250,000 value engineering that spend to get more bang for our buck, knowing also that there's increased, you've made a commitment, your sheriff made a commitment to more resources. I think I've seen it, but to your point, I can't know which car is a detail and which is on duty. What would you tell us based upon the size of our community? Because we're spending 250 and we're not excited. It has improved, but not excited about the services. What would you do? And what would you
gotta identify your problem areas. Some people in this board believe that certain areas are more problematic than others, right? Give us what is it that your expectations are, what is it that you guys want, and then we can go and we can do a strategic plan on how to then address those on days and times that the visuals or the people believe that
whether it's true or not.
we could do that, and that's.
So has the board agreed on what the priorities are, what the times are? Because I can't sit here and tell you what I think they are. So does anyone?
Well, that's why I asked the question of, is the sheriff's office have an opinion on that? Of what we should be targeting take aside the numbers for a second.
Your position, I think, is what you said, is we are a very low crime, low priority market.
Yeah, you guys are the lowest crime in the whole county.
That's what I would think.
You guys are the lowest crime in the county. You guys don't have this same issue. Let's say Windermere and Orange County has, right? Windermere is more of an open, and part of the celebration also is the way how you guys are built and located, right? You guys kind of enclosed, right? Kind of hidden. So that could be a very positive. It could be a real negative, right? When we're Windermere, you have to drive through it, right? So you're gonna have a lot more burglaries that way. A lot of organized. When I was working organized crime, a lot of my organized crime people were actually targeting Dr. Phillips area and Windermere. Why? Because it's so easier. I guess it is so vast and open, and people have to drive through it. Where celebration, you really have to go into celebrate. You have to be intentional to go to celebration.
That's the devil's advocate question, just that was off the cuff answer. Do you feel like the reason we've got low crime is because we've got the details here and there's sort of deterrence factor?
Presence is going to deter crime. That is statistically, it's a sound statement. You will always going to have part of law enforcement. Presence is one of the biggest preventions you're gonna have, right? Hence terrorism. You have, all this. I'll give you the perfect example. Pulse. The shooter at Pulse prayed that Friday on a mosque right here in West 192 and 535. I was a captain at the time. That same shooter went to Distant Springs to shoot up Distant Springs. But the patrol cars, right? Because I worked Disney before as a law enforcement officer. And every time I work while I was sports and everything else, Disney always tells you to do what? Hide. No one wants to see law enforcement. I want you to here and stay here, and we'll feed you here. Don't move. Now the tactic changed. Now it's more overt, right? Now it's more, I want patrol cars to be seen because it was proven time and time again, statistical data in criminal justice around the nation and abroad, because even England provides great statistics on it, is presence lowers even terrorism. So yes, presence is the big factor. That anywhere you go, presence is definitely. And now when I worked on the cover, I worked narcotics, same thing. We were about to do a deal, a patrol car just drove by, and well, no, we're not doing it. And people usually walk away.
So what is the baseline presence? If we got rid of all of our details, what is the expectation? And we're treated like everywhere else.
Yeah, expectation is that patrol cars will be in their zones until calls appear, and then once the calls appears, because we increasing our presence now even to crashes, right? So I'm a big if this crashes, we're gonna take him now. That's another thing that we're doing now that we were not doing well before. Right? Why? Because I don't want anybody's family here to sit on the side of the road for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? Today, the deposition that I was talking about, that call was received to FHP at 10:30 at night. I responded to the call at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that was an ejection from a motorcycle in the Dr. Phillips area.
But I think
So me, right, having that knowledge now, and I'm getting people fighting me back that don't want to crashes. Deputies don't want to wear crashes. Oh, that's FHP's problem. I said, no, that's a we problem. That is a they problem. Because when it's a problem for the community, then it's our problem. And right now we're discussing traffic right now, right? So now there's another added stuff that I'm trying to. So
typically celebration, so it's 2 zones and there's 1 deputy assigned to each zone.
one deputy needs some.
Okay.
If the deputy's on training, if the deputy's not on family leave, and if the deputy's not in on PTO or in.
Standard expectation is.
So just like in
And that includes the sub 417.
and it's a very fluid. Right now, I told this to the board. Nobody knows this in the county. I'm about to redraw the county, the zones of the county. I'm about to redraw.
How does that affect us?
It could affect you because now you have a whole complete section past the high school on Celebration Boulevard that was not there before.
Right.
So
I don't know yet how that's gonna.
I don't know yet because now the way that Sheriff Blackman's going to ask the county for more deputies, we're going to get very aggressive on that. Very, very aggressive. And here we are splitting squads because now we have too many people in squads. So now I need more sergeants. So, and I might have to redraw the county when it comes to zones. And Celebration is one of those zones that I'm gonna have to. You might end up with 3 zones in here, but by the time I'm done,
When do you expect that to be done?
probably very soon here because I'm about to ask for my budget coming up. I'm gonna start writing budgets January, February to then submit it by May.
So based upon that, there is a likelihood of expanding that geographic footprint based upon our growth, coupled with the staffing requirements that you fulfilled. You're saying we're paying too much for the details and you would maybe take your foot off that pedal a little.
I'm saying that you want a full-time deputy here, full-time dedicated for Celebration. My honest opinion is I think it's too much money. I think it's just too much. You got it, right? You got it?
Yeah.
I think it's too much money.
It's basically the same number. It's
$220,000.
Yeah, versus the 216 here.
You know, I truly, if you just want somebody to tell kids in helmets and don't do, wear a helmet for $220-some thousand a year, man, I'm sorry, man. Anybody in corporate here, that's crazy. That's some crazy numbers right there.
So what you're saying is that you intend to be resourced to provide us a baseline level of service that is acceptable for our community.
We just
If the
understand.
community accepts that, and that's something that the board accepts, then, that's, remember, I'm here to be an advisor.
But the timeline of that is, if I'm gonna fast forward the tape, it's probably about a year out, because if you're looking at that for your next fiscal year, just the budget to get the deputies, then you need to go get the deputy, hire him. So it may be early 27 before we really start seeing those numbers.
I hired a deputy today for the academy and sponsor, and by the time that deputy hits the road by himself or herself, then year.
Okay.
It's 1 year. It's seven months in the academy, 4 months in training an FDO program.
Well, and then add in the time that you have to put into your budget cycle to even fund for that person, so now you're a year and a half.
Yep.
So we're still a ways off from actually seeing it.
And we're getting money where we don't have it to try to create positions and expand and get.
Anecdotally seen.
Yeah, so the traffic detail, I think, is a good idea to keep it and to continue with that program. And that's something that only you can tell the deputy, hey, these are the expectations you need to do. Right.
Well, that was another question. How much autonomy do we have to tell them what the priorities are? Then we say to them, you're on the traffic detail, but hey, can you get out of the car in these zones, and can you talk to the kids while you're out there? Can we give that kind of direction?
Back in 2005, when I worked detail here, and I used to be in the morning, in the morning we have to cross the kids to school, right? There was a schedule. Hey, from this time, be here. Then that went away. Right, that went away.
That was away because of our guidance or because of?
That went away from you guys.
It went,
It went with, go ahead.
no, they had it on multiple intersections
Yeah.
and they couldn't do the budget.
So we have deputies in each intersection, and I used to cross the kids in the morning and work in the detail. I used to do it. I'm telling you, I know this community inside out. And I can tell you all the ups that we used to have them with the segways. Remember the segways? Celebration was the first community to have segways. So you have police and segways, right? So I've seen it all.
I mean, the problem is what you're saying as far as staying with the details. The problem is because the rate of the details has increased so much. That's what for right now, for about 40, is that what we're getting, about 40 hours a week roughly?
Yeah.
On details? So it's about $245,000 we're paying for about 40 hours a week on details. But if I go to a committed 40-hour a week guy, never mind the one-time startup costs, which are about $100,000 out of your $217,000, like 96 out of 217. I'm now saving $100,000 to go to a full-time guy.
Current basis.
But the recurring cost, the non-recurring is gonna be the first time up front, but I'm not gonna buy a car every year, like buy a gun every year. Yeah, my recurring costs are about $120,000 a year, versus right now we're paying 200, so it's literally 2x to stay on the detail. So just to get down to where I would be at for 40-hour week, I gotta cut my detail level in half. So even if we cut it in half, I'm still gonna get the same bang for I get twice the bang for the buck actually with the 40 hours a week.
And somebody that could sit at the table we could look at.
Correct.
I mean, how often do you replace the cars?
Give it takes 5 years, because we go from 100,000 to 120,000. We try to keep it, because anything beyond that is just horrible. I mean, a patrol car that's like 3 times what your car and my car. We run so hard. These cars never turn off. It's 12, 16 hours. It's just those cars, but sometimes by 80,000 miles, we're replacing engines and transmissions.
Out of 99,000 of what I tagged as non-recurring costs, 46,000 was the car, 13,000 was the vehicle upfitting. That's another, so that's 46, 13, that's 59,000 out of 99. 14,000 for a radio, which is gonna go in the car. That's, you know what I mean?
That radio alone, like $7,000 a radio alone, and
Right.
When we carry in the bells like 5,000.
Yeah, two-thirds of the cost is associated with the car itself. The rest of it is like, well, I mean, the non-recurring is,
Total cost.
Yeah.
217,
here, this is pass those around.
the new one.
Well, this is the old one, but the new one's about $1,000.
17.
Yeah. So, I mean, just for us internally, even if we cut it in half, we'd still be, as far as the level of effort on the details and go to 20 hours a week, that's gonna be about the cost of what we'd be paying for 40 hours a week for a committed guy.
So going back to Michelle's point about direction, are we giving the current details any sort of direction, time, place, location, focus?
Yes,
How much detail?
it depends. So Jasmine will ask him, can you do traffic in this area?
If I wanted to see a report that shows it objectively, like, cause otherwise it's, you know, a little BS. What does it say in a report? Does it say these shifts are these areas, this frequency and this focus? Does it say that?
Usually she will put that note in the, but she requests the detail, her calendar, and she will put notes in there. Can you, like we did North Village and the radar sign was done.
Yeah.
Please have an increased presence at that time of day in North Village.
Great.
And they did.
You guys still have a radar here?
Yes.
Celebration used to have a radar all the time. You saw a phone and radar. That's what you guys want to send it home.
South neighborhood has that over a lot. The community services, patrolman has got it over in the, Jones room.
Okay.
The radar, it's not being used at all.
See, that's another thing that I remember this detail would be is you must be radar certified. Because if you're not radar certified, guess what? Can't take speed, you can't use that radar. So you have to be more stringent, like what Greg was talking about. Also, well, what about this time? Well, those obviously are areas and zones of concern. Well, I think me personally, if I have to advise you in any way, I'll say, well, now, if you're paying for that deputy, then put the deputies on the areas of concerns of the days and hours of the week that are of concern.
Well, I've looked at the speeds and stuff like that in the various 5, or I think we have 7, radar.
And another thing we can do, we can put out here, I don't know if you guys like it or not, is a speed trailer just for a week. And we test out the speed in certain areas of, we have that capability.
And I'll tell you, the place that speed occurs is Celebration Boulevard.
Yeah.
Okay, between campus and all the way down to
Oh,
Woodville.
yeah,
You get it-
that's old road, man.
You get it over 90 miles an hour frequently on that.
We've got
But
radar signs
On triple digits out
that
there.
will be election track.
But that, I think I'm more concerned with the traffic inside the residential area. Where people
I couldn't,
don't stop at stop
I
signs.
could agree with you more.
Well, you could almost, well, wait a minute, Celebration Boulevard, half of it is a residential area.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
okay, well, let's talk
apartments in
about,
there that are going in and out.
all right, Celebration Place, and I don't care about Celebration
Okay.
Place.
I mean, I think at this point, for me, it's a decision whether or not we want to continue with it at all. If we keep it at all, going to the single deputy model, cost wise,
I think
Makes sense.
we need to further analyze that one.
And you're willing to do that, correct?
Listen,
what I heard is the advisor.
I dance.
I agree with
Listen,
this.
I dance to your music. I dance to your music. We can accommodate, I'm flexible. I'm very flexible and so.
Yeah, the input to interview that, I mean, to make sure there's I mean, listen, Jerry was.
I think Jerry is willing to come back.
I wouldn't.
I don't but you know, we got other people too that will love to be here too, you know, and again, it's just, we'll open it for, we have a union, so we open it for some type of a specialty,
I think there's a
If
particular.
we interview people, you still make the final choice on who's coming, right?
we'll make the final choice depending on, I'll be probably being heavily involved with that.
Yeah.
It could be some type of, I know what you guys are looking for. So based on that, I can make those decisions.
Yeah.
You know, I could also get Heath Yeager involved in that thing where he knows celebration very well, like, you know, because, you know, truth be told, you need a person with certain personality to do this, right? You cannot put a person here.
You can.
And I'll use you guys, always use this community as an example. The way you talk to people in celebration is another way you talk to people in the ghetto, right? Or you want to call that, or the projects, or let's call it high crime areas, right? You know, so you cannot talk to people the same way. You cannot, right? I mean, you gotta offer the same level of respect, but sometimes people don't react to, hey, sir, man, how can I help you? Because you're not getting any type of positive reinforcement on that.
What are the other questions? We got the blotter, we got upstairs, we got.
Well, trespass, well, Halloween coverage is next. Well, at least that's what's on my list, so.
And that's all the detailed stuff.
Well, that's
Well,
different.
That Halloween, we spend a lot of dollars. It's not a community event. I'll sponsor it. It just happens to be where we live. And so we're spending a ton of money.
You guys are special.
Yeah.
Not special.
But that should be the county and taxpayers' responsibility. How do we get off that list so that we're not having to prop it up? Because we're not sponsoring it.
I know,
But we eat up.
man, that is a very unique situation, to be honest with you. Because we try to cover all the areas in the county. Like right now, I'll give you right now, Harmony right now is really getting somewhat of the same problem you guys are having here. And sometimes being too good comes with a price. And honestly, your community is that good. You know, it's a level of that people always want to be here. I don't blame them, right? So I guess it's a good problem to have, yet not a good problem to have, right? So it's just, man, it's just challenging to address and put all the resources here when we have, and I was here, by the way. I came here. No, I came here. I was listening to the radio, you know, looking at traffic, and I think we deploy. I don't quote me. I think we deploy even the drones. We deploy drones. Something that we're going to keep doing moving forward. The sheriff bought 24 drones, and each squad is going to have a drone. So it's a possibility. Celebration will have a drone.
So what was your impression of our Halloween traffic problems?
It was the, you know how on Google Maps, you know, when you have bad traffic, it's red. Yours were black. So that tell you anything, right?
Yeah.
So it was worse. It was worse than I-4. I don't know that.
The effectiveness of what we do then.
Listen,
There's nothing we can do to make it work.
listen. And again,
Define what make it work means. If nobody gets hit by a car and everybody's safe,
There we go.
you know that there's traffic, you've got 10,000 cars coming in here, making it work as nobody gets hit.
you have a product that is just that good, right? And I guess at the end of the day, it's a good problem to have.
Listen,
The-
it's a
the-
problem
the-
that you don't want to have, we don't want to have.
You know,
Well,
But your community is very, okay, I'll put it this way, your community is very welcoming. So that's a strength,
I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a great thing,
but then
recognizing.
a byproduct of that, a byproduct of being a welcoming community, beautiful, clean, welcoming community is high traffic. People want to be with you, including me. And I'll put this in open.
over our entire December budgets, and now we have no Christmas coverage for extra shifts because it burned on that one day.
Well, my frustration with that was 2 weeks, 3 weeks before Halloween, all of a sudden it went from what we had internally traditionally planned as 4 deputies that we've always put into that up to
13.
14.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, and that was 2 weeks beforehand.
Maybe coming next year, as we get closer to next year. I came back in July 2nd, right? And when I came back, and I was presenting with a lot of challenging situations on what I'm doing right now. I can commit myself to the board, to maybe get a better understanding for next year, to do something better, but we're very limited on what we have, right? Because again, your areas, the community was not built
Let
for
me ask,
that much
yeah,
traffic, right?
what, and this is for the group, what is the issue with Halloween? And I'll phrase it this way. It's not, are we getting a whole bunch of like breaking and entering or
You know,
robbery? No, it's not.
you
I'm
don't
getting no movement in traffic.
It's one, it's running down to one,
the traffic problem.
right? Right, so that's really the only question out there is how can we alleviate traffic concerns
But
for a specific period of time?
But David, it's not only traffic in Celebration, it's people trying to make the turns off 192.
Well, it's still underneath.
192 all the way back to 417, 417 backing up, and then Celebration Point backing up, or place backing up.
And you guys have had that problem from, I remember Justin Bieber being here, and I was a mess.
Busy.
You know, I worked out off duty when Justin Bieber was a little kid, and he was here. You guys are at Radio Disney having concerts,
Is
right?
there any precedent to have like temporary traffic control mechanisms by, closing off, I guess it's closing off street or one-waying temporarily, different, tactical solutions that you can do?
If we can do that, we get a hinder the community tremendously, right? So you're gonna get like water side, you have to close it, you might have to close, Front Street, you have to close a lot and just put linear traffic. But then that's
Is
gonna
that-
really.
Is that gonna fix
I don't think so.
any?
Don't think so.
so with.
We're not looking to fix, we just want to improve. though. Maybe that
Well,
would.
so here's the problem. Been here 23 years. This has been problem since I moved here and before. Okay. There's 3 ways in and out of this community.
Mhm.
There's 3 ways. There are narrow streets. Everybody parks their car, not in the garage, but in the streets.
Yep.
Okay. And so even if you had half the number of people show up for Halloween,
It still flies.
you're still going to have that. Now, the other thing too is the difference between, I don't know what the difference is between 10, 20, or 30 deputies on Halloween.
Yeah.
Because once the streets fill up,
There's no movement.
once the streets fill up, there's no movement.
Yeah.
And you hear the same things, how we had an emergency situation and stuff like that.
That's the one thing I would ask, because everybody says that who's, God bless them, keyboard warriors. Do you feel that there was any point in Halloween where if an emergency happened, I'll say either at one of the distant points, either the back of Artisan or the back of East Lawn or anything, one of the edges of town, do you feel like there was anything you saw where you could not get emergency vehicle through?
Because we have motor units deep into the celebration on purpose
Mhm.
because of that problem.
Mhm.
Problem is your ambulance, your fire truck, right? That's your problem. We can get a drone, whatever. We got a drone, we got drones there, right?
Yep.
We can get motorcycles out there.
So we had done that 3 years ago, and it was more Jeter Ben than it was Halloween 4 years ago.
Yep.
We had done that. We had contracted with the fire department. We put actually, I think we got two. We got one on the back of East Lawn. We got one on the back of Artisan Clubhouse,
Yeah.
exactly for that.
Right, so what good are the extra deputies? Why did we have, what did 14 do?
So that's my point,
Right.
because they have made streets one way, they closed out the streets, they have tried almost everything, and guess what?
Yes,
No
same problem.
improvement. It's-
Do you know how many officers were on detail that night?
We did that, and no more than that. We had like 14, 15.
And then was there bike patrol also?
Bike patrol, we had our ERT. We had divided our ERT because I had to send people to Poinciana, right? Because Poinciana had the same issue. So now moving forward, if you look around the nation, when you have that many people on foot, you're gonna have a crazy person that might just wants to drive on top of pedestrians. So that's a possibility, right? I mean, again, we can what if this thing on 3 weeks or something,
Sure.
right? So, but this is where we at.
Well, and
Maybe talk to the commission in Childry. Maybe something that they can put more money in celebration to help
Well, I think-
alleviate certain things. Maybe put in some traffic controls before this event or.
I asked that question a year ago when this came up, and it was a similar situation where 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, I was told, hey, the sheriff's department are not paying for any of the details. And I, along with actually it was 2 years ago, with sheriff on the line, put that up to Mr. Fisher and Commissioner Chowdhury, and that was the quickest email response I've ever gotten back. Was, no, thank you. That's the sheriff's department's problem because they're under their purview within their budget.
It isn't,
And
it is a problem,
Yeah.
it just, we have to put resources throughout the county that day. And yes, and we incur an overtime and all that stuff, but all the areas in the county and we're, only got 200 people patrol.
Yeah, well, you're saying is,
And,
going forward, you'll take a look at it.
yeah, we have to sit down and have a serious conversation about this and see how you want to proceed. Because I can propose, we do a linear, we put a linear traffic and in and out. But then what's gonna happen to the locals, right?
Well,
So
That's the problem.
and I would say two things, and again, maybe,
You're just parked.
well, I'd say two.
I'm a big proponent of linear. Make it a big circle, get out, in, out, or maybe,
I vote for it.
something that we can do, but then it's gonna be headed for the locals, right?
I mean, I'd say number one, my suggestion would be we don't wait till, because we always wait till it's get too late and all of a sudden it's 2 weeks before. If we're gonna do it, I'd suggest doing it in the next 30 days or hey, Christmas isn't it? But let's do it now. Let's freshen our minds. Number two, as one guy on the board, I don't have an opinion on what this should be, because to be honest, and I don't mean this disrespect, it's not our thing. We don't own the roads. We don't own it. And that's my frustration is we've been willing to pony up for deputies to augment the patrols. But now, at least 2 years now, I think 3 years in a row, not only have we been kind of arm wrestled into providing more, but it's always been a last minute, oh my God, I need more. This is not a town sponsored event. Nobody from the town is advertising this. If it was, hey, that's our problem to deal with. These are county roads. We have been, it's almost like we're getting punished for being willing to come in and do this, but all of a sudden it comes to the last minute where we get an email from staff because Jack had a meeting where it went from 4 to 14. And hey, guys, we don't have a choice. I mean, at that point, I'm just saying, make it 0. It's not our thing.
It went to that because we had kind of created a map on some one-way streets. And the response was, for us to properly safely staff this is how many officers.
They said they need 25.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get out of the business of saying, hey, one-way streets, in and out, whatever.
We can't.
It's not within the purview of this board to do that.
I mean, we're always sponsoring.
Yeah, we don't do legal.
Well, and we're also seem to be sponsoring those giant downtown rock concert with cars going in and out, and they pay for it. I'm like, why are we paying for this? It's not our concert. Nobody's concert, right? Halloween people just show up, and so yeah, I do agree. It's been going up every year in terms of, oh, you need this, and it is last minute. I'm like, we can't function that way.
We can say no.
And I don't want to be a good partner. If I'm gonna be a good partner, I want to have that conversation now, so at least I know it ahead of time and I can budget it ahead of time. And also so I know the expectation going into it when it rolls around, hey, we've got that defined, as opposed to 2 weeks beforehand, we're trying to get planned together.
And my only, and I don't disagree with that, but my back of my head, we have to make sure that is agreed upon, so that 2 weeks before Halloween, oh, I know we're agreed upon, but we're gonna have to, then that's the deal breaker.
Well, as long as the board understands that, our resources are, somewhat limited, right? Where we're gonna provide this and make sure that no crashes take place and no incidents take place. But to dedicate sometimes to just put an officer on a traffic light and do this, where we can use that officer somewhere else in the county, or divide, right, our force, because we are engaged in the overtime pay that day. We do. It is what it is, right? It's part of the budget. Everybody pays taxes, no problem.
But I mean,
No,
your
but-
point,
but
the county needs to get approached to help augment this, because it's not just what you're saying, it's not just a law enforcement problem. We ought to be roping in the fire department into this conversation. Hey, guys, you need to be augmenting the edges of town where you're not gonna be able to get through to be able to do what you need to do. So
Is there a direction for staff, something you want us to do?
if the sheriff's department's willing to have a meeting with us, I'd say, we're not gonna do it through the holidays, so I'd say 30 days starting the 1st of January, by the end of January. Hey, do an after action on what went right, what went wrong. I would suggest having the fire department in that as well, so they could at least hear, even though they didn't participate. And hey, next year, are they willing to do that? And at least at that point, between the fire department, us and sheriff's department, if they need to go to the county and say, we need more money because CDD is not jumping in with 14 deputies at the last minute like we've done the past 3 years.
Jack, liaison for that?
Yep. Okay. That'll be, that January, beginning of February is very important, because right before we're going to budget.
Yeah.
And before the county goes into the budget, before they go, it's perfect time. Yeah.
Trespassing people. So what's the sheriff's department's policy on trespassing people? Because it seemed like a year ago we had one policy and something changed.
I can email you. I'll email to you. I had the same problem with another community regarding trespassing, and there was a legal bulletin put out on that. Right, trespassing. You can trespass people out of the house, common areas. So they have a guest. You can definitely do the common areas on a HOA maintained place.
You have the specific,
Because
This
it's
is an example.
it's different rules on a private gated community as it is in a public community.
So here's the example, and this happened Halloween, right on Halloween. We had a one-man band that set up on CDD property underneath our gazebo downtown. They were called to try, I think you called me.
It was before Halloween. It was not Halloween. It was
Yeah.
before, a couple days
A
before.
band?
No, it was one guy. He set up speakers, a saxophone, the whole thing. The music was blaring. All the restaurants were complaining because people sitting outside go, who is this guy? The district doesn't allow anyone to perform, ask for money, or do any of that stuff without a use agreement. Okay. Because a lot of them run cables or this and that or whatever. We get people selling Bibles. We don't allow that. We don't allow anything political. It's just pretty much, unless you have a use agreement, you're not allowed to do any shenanigans. You can visit, you can sit down, you can enjoy everything. That's great, but you can't do anything else. And all of a sudden it says, well, we can't trespass them. Well, then how are we going to get these people off our property? Because if we don't do that, we're going to have 15 people selling this, that, whatever. And for a period of time, that's what we had.
So that policy I just shared with you, when I called, they said if you have a use policy that doesn't allow them to do that, we can enforce that. We can't trespass them. So we provided that policy to the scheduling officer. I don't think we've had the issue since then, but
Well, what do you get arrested for then? If, in a public place, right?
well, it's on CDD, technically CDD property. That is CDD property.
That is
Right.
district policy, that is district property.
Yeah, I told Tom I couldn't get down there that night and I said, I just go shut the breakers off. You won't have any power. That's how I would have dealt with it that night, so. The night that we called, you had the chase or something.
Yeah, there was a serious situation going.
Then,
Is there a systemic, and the systemic thing I've heard is more in the downtown area, just a general confusion by the responding deputy is that who owns what? You've got Kanoa, you've got Lexington, you've got CDD, you've got Croa, you've got county.
I understand that, and that is easy to show maps, easy to show things. Lexington has been down there, on their property on Front Street, and Market Street. And that's private property.
Well, and
That's private. Hold on.
Yeah.
They're told, no bikes on the sidewalks, no scooters, and the deputies say, oh, there's nothing that you can do, you need more signs. They actually went out and put more signs up. And then they were told, yeah, we can't do anything.
So we cannot enforce CDD or HOA because that's private entity. That's not a county. That's not a county. I understand that. But only which rule am I gonna cite or arrest? Which is the statute on that? Right? So I'm trying to get to the bulletin right now.
So our use policy, which requires you to have a waterproof permit, you could not enforce that. Is that what you're saying?
So anybody can set up anything they want. All in.
That's a code enforcement issue, not a law enforcement issue. As bad as it sounds.
Code enforcement doesn't operate after 7 o'clock.
Jan just.
You're right about it. You're right about it. That's true.
Right.
Do we have a legal
Yeah, I
opinion?
think Jan's piping it. You're on.
You're muted.
Always a problem, that mute button. With the city of Kissimmee years ago, in some of our CDDs, as long as we showed an ownership interest and filled out a form that said, if someone is complaining that the police department would enforce it, that they would come out and enforce, but they needed something in writing. Is there anything like that with Osceola County that we can say, hey, we authorize you to come, it's our public property, it's not being used properly, we have an interest. So it gave authority to the police departments at least. We've had that in a couple of jurisdictions.
I think in the city, and it's kind of hard when you have somebody with a JD, right? On the city is a little more controlled than it is in the county because county ordinances are a little more less restrictive at times than city ordinances. So I'm gonna have to do a legal consult with our legal attorney, with our legal advisor at the sheriff's office, but a lot of those things are more of a code enforcement issue more than it is a law enforcement issue because it is a public place. It's just a permit. So are we doing a permit? Is it a permit violation or is it a crime, right? What they committed, right? So that's the question.
It's a private place, so we own it.
Yeah. Okay. So well, that's the question. I'm trying to pull up the legal ball here.
Yeah.
Over a pump.
Yeah.
I'm
So
just very confused because before last year, we didn't have a problem. We trespassed people, and there weren't that many people.
Mhm.
Now we're told if we had the agreement that we have, we can definitely ask people not trespassing, but ask them, you're gonna have to leave. And now being told there's nothing we can do. See, this is where my frustration is,
Mhm.
because the rules change on a whim.
well, law changed too, right?
No. The law didn't change 2 weeks ago when we called in and they said, if you had an agreement, we can go ahead and enforce that. That wasn't the law. Right? That's what the sheriff's office told it. And now we're saying, no, it's not. This is my frustration. It's kind of like,
This is something that this is nothing but a training issue, right? That we can look at based on of what I've done, and the law has changed throughout 26 years, right? Perfect example is 509, right? With the hotels and stuff like that, with the hold on, it's in a minute right now.
I mean, Jan, I think if you can maybe follow, I don't think we're gonna get a resolve tonight, but if you can follow up on the thread, if we need to get the sheriff's department attorney involved and with you.
Sure, I can reach out to him and ask. I think we have years ago. I know we've dealt with the county attorney who was not much help on no help at all on the code enforcement side of it all.
Surprise.
A cat or a dog in the side of the street
There's
there.
a cat climbing on her.
That is a cat. Cat. That's a
Oh, you
third
can-
meeting.
You can see the cat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, she wants to be involved. That's sort of why I had the video off for a
The
while.
CIO and the cat said.
As long as you're not
That's
billing
fine.
us for her time, we're okay with that. So.
Yeah, no, don't worry. She's free. Good input.
Okay, so moving on to this.
Well, let me ask separately though, is there still a problem? I haven't heard it as far as separately the who owns what piece, because about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, when Captain Calvis came in, we had given him, he had pulled maps from county GIS and loaded.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. I found an email to you right now. The legal bulletin. So can the HOA stop a member from using the common areas? Yes. So the HOA can suspend for a reasonable period of time the right of a member or a member's tenant, guest, or invitee the use of common areas and facilities for failure to follow the rules of the association for statute 720.305, subsection 2A. However, the suspension cannot impose unless the board first provides at least 14 days notice of the suspension to the partial owner of his or guest and an opportunity for a hearing before committed of at least 3 members appointed by the board.
But we're not an HOA, we're not.
Yeah, no, so that's something that I will have to dig up more. And then if there's a need for training, then we will do that, right? Because on this one here, this covers for council here, this covers the statute 3720, but statute 720.
I mean, Jan, I don't think
We're
there's
not-
anything in the law that makes us different than the county from that perspective, correct? I mean, we're a public.
No, we're the same as the county. Yeah.
Yeah.
That statute doesn't apply to us at all.
So whatever mechanism you're enforcing trespassing on county property should be the same mechanism for us.
Which is, on county property. Like, we have the First Amendment, auditors going to the sheriff's office and to the lobby, and we can't trespass them. That's a public building.
Yeah.
We can't trespass them. And they do that on purpose, and there's there's videos on it where the police departments have actually trespassed or arrested people that don't want to leave the sheriff's office, the lobby. And that's against the law. You can't do that. Can't. So if we can't trespass somebody from a PD or a sheriff's office, because that is a public building or a public
Well,
area.
But for me, there's a difference. So when they come in there, if somebody wants to come onto our property, sit down and record all day, all night, have at it. Okay. But when you're using megaphones, which you can't use, that is against the law. When you have any projection, like speaker systems and stuff, you can't use that. If you want to sit down and sing a little bit, you want to go ahead and read a book, go ahead. But they're approaching people. They're causing a nuisance. It's more than just that.
But that's different. We had that problem here.
Yeah. That's what we have around.
How was it handled?
So, well, initially they were trespassed.
Mhm.
We called 2 days later
Mhm.
and they came and said, we can't trespass. them." So they've already been trespassed, so we can't enforce it. It was probably a year ago.
Yes.
I'll take
And so
that.
this time, because there was an accident, the deputy couldn't come out, there's nothing could be done.
Yeah.
And it just, it's just then, business owners have their own entertainment that they're actually paying for.
Yes.
And this guy was just blaring it. And it's like, we don't allow that. I mean, we have anyone who's going to use our area, there's legal forms they have to fill out. They have to have insurance, all this stuff, because then all of a sudden we're liable. Maybe it is to go ahead and lock up all the power along those areas and just shut all that stuff down. But when you have people going out there with bullhorns and protesting and stuff like that, you legally cannot do that. You have to have a permit for that.
Well, is there something that concisely says what the public can and can't do on district property?
Yeah, we have it in policy.
That's enforceable.
Up until 20 minutes ago, I would have said yes.
Yeah, if we want to enforce something, we'd have to adopt it by rule. And then the question is, we can't enforce any penalties. We don't have any police powers. So the only penalties we can do are similar to what an HOA can do. We can tell people they can't use public property for a certain period of time, but that's not really effective against someone that's not from the CDD.
The county has, I mean, I've seen in ordinances, I can't remember what CDD it is in the county, but there are specific ordinances written by the county for that CDD. Hey, within the bounds of this CDD, you cannot do this, this, and this.
So that's what we need to explore.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
those are only for parking. I don't think those are for any police enforcement.
And that's, I don't know the extent to which
Yeah.
those ordinances can be done, but that sounds like that may be the path we need to go. And if
Yeah.
it's by incorporation, anything that the district passes as far as, yeah, because we're gonna change our rules. We're gonna have to go back to the county every time we change our rule and get an ordinance change.
Yeah, I don't think the county will allow any type of police power in an ordinance. What about the use, what would the new homeless statute that went into effect? If we have somebody sleeping in the gazebos, wasn't that a problem for a while?
Yes, it was.
And we couldn't get anybody out. Now, isn't there a statute against that, the sleeping overnight, same in a county park?
You technically, you can't be sleeping. Sleeping is defined as basically closing your eyes.
But I don't think we've had that happen though, have we?
Yes, we have.
Not recently, it's not,
It's not in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So you're gonna arrest me next time I fall asleep at the board meeting?
Not you, I'll just do this and you'll be like,
There was a guy on the bench from the hospital overnight about a week ago. And Russ and I were talking the last time the guy was dead.
he was dead.
well, what I'd ask, and I have a feeling we're gonna get to the end of this training, we're gonna find out we really, A, it's probably not that frequent that things happen. B, if you shut off the power, that'll probably eliminate 50%.
Yeah.
And see if we could just get a deputy come out, even if he doesn't trespass, and just say, hey pal, what you doing here? People tend to move along, even if you're not gonna threaten.
Very great. So I bring a battery powered speakers and stuff. We're a generator. Okay. You haven't solved the problem yet.
I'm just, we're trying to do anything we can because,
And then that's what.
because
What can we do?
Well, if somebody brings a generator, I can't, what if,
Just a little.
I hear you.
1,000 watt generator.
I got you. That's where I think you call the sheriff's office and, hey pal, what you doing out here? And just sit there and stare at him for a little bit. I mean,
And the sheriff's office didn't come out.
I got it.
You call, we
I
didn't
can't fix what I can't fix.
You don't come out, I need to know that, but you call, we didn't come out.
Yeah.
We're not.
unless there's an issue, unless there was.
No matter what, we come out, no matter what, whether it's 2 or 3 hours later, we're gonna come out.
He did tell me that. He
No, we're gonna come out. You know, whoever refuses to come out, I need to know about it.
Yeah.
That's negative, but I don't stand for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Counsel, if you don't mind sharing your email so I can get my legal counsel tomorrow, maybe talk to you. And you
Yeah,
guys correspond.
Sure, I can write to Alex if you'd like in the morning. I deal with him a lot, or just give it
Yes,
to you.
Alex is FMLA, just had a baby.
Oh, good.
But if you do that, he's probably gonna forward it to Carlton anyway.
Okay,
If you could do that, let's do that. And
Okay.
we Get more clarity on that specific, and once we get more clarification on the limitations or whatever, we can now definitely get some type of training if what we're doing is not within the rules. 'Cause I
Okay.
know those rules are I know those statutes are very, in my opinion, a little bit muddy. You know, those lines are a little bit gray and muddy, and we want a specific guidance.
okay. I'll reach out to Alex in the morning and speak with his new person or assistant.
Thank you.
Jan, I'm just responding to one of his emails and putting you on there, so he has your email address.
Okay, thanks.
The next one we have is Blogger. That one's yours. Yes.
You?
Yeah, Blogger report. That's the one you wanted only.
Did I really?
Oh my God.
Years ago, we used to get the blotter on a weekly basis, what occurred in celebration. And I think it started with Captain Lang, actually Sergeant Lang at the time, Captain Lang. And then we had it for many years and all of a sudden it disappeared. Jerry refused to give it to us for some reason,
The what?
the blotter.
Okay.
And with Jerry, it ended totally.
And we've asked, I don't know, I've given, I can't count how many times we've asked for this.
There was a request about a year ago and he said he couldn't separate celebration out of everything that occurred in the sector. He said it was too difficult to.
Oh, no, he sent us one thing one time, about 8 pages worth of stuff.
So you guys want a report on kind of a crime analysis on Sun 21 and 22?
Yeah,
I can provide, give you the dates and I'll provide it to you.
Degree of frequency, you want that monthly?
just once a month.
That would we have some objectivity to what's actually going on versus the back porch.
And we'll just have to manually pull out the stuff.
Carrie, you want it or you want it? Oh, Carrie wants it. Who wants it?
You send it to me. And then I can pull it up.
We'll just have to manually pull out the few streets that are on Enterprise's side. It's simple. I mean, half the calls end up being at the hospital.
Yeah,
The
90%.
reports I pull out. Yeah.
Hospital and high school. All the fights in the high school and stuff, it doesn't have to be fights, it could be just whatever it is. That was the thing, when everyone looks at that, they're like, oh, there was an altercation, no, somebody did, I mean, it's their mind, but they fall under categories, we can manually adjust. Okay, I guess we're passing e-bike because we kind of addressed, there's nothing we can do on that. Satellite facility.
So we brought this up, I don't think you were here, sir, when the sheriff came in a couple of months ago. We had pitched it to Sheriff Lopez and the team. We've got space upstairs that is unused. We had actually gone down a road 3 years ago about possibly converting that space to, we don't really have a use for it. We had a bunch of storage up there. But the idea was to help create a presence here. If we were to lease you for whatever, hopefully nominal cost we could come to be able to put 5 or 6 deputies up. And again, not as a committed office, but basically, I know the sheriff had mentioned you guys were reinstating your tourism unit. You know,
so the county has approved or are going to approve the new West Office that will be built and a bigger West Office. So they're selling the Publix. They're on I-Drive 192. They're selling that building. County is now they're committed to us to build a facility for us, not as big as the Publix, but something reasonable for the growth that is going to encompass south sectors and west sectors combined. That's going to be located in the area of Siesta Lago and Ponciana Boulevard. So the problem with if you want mark units in this area is mark units shouldn't be here. Mark units should be out there. And I'm one of those opponents that if you're patrolling, you patrol. You don't stay in an area, right? The only way you can do here will be detectives are completely unmarked. And even then, when you have a building that carries or stores CJIS information, CJIS is very, very strict on how the information is kept, and also tells you, because we are an accredited agency, who has access to the building, who can come to the building, and how that information is stored. So that rather poses a little bit of a challenge, right?
And
To
we had abandoned-
retrofit a building to be in compliance with FDLE and CJIS.
Yeah, we abandoned the idea a couple of years ago, which is when I mentioned it to the sheriff when he was here, just it was more a general comment about places where we have tried to establish a better partnership with you guys, and that was something I mentioned to him, and he kind of perked up and said, boy, I'd really be interested to explore that, because even the building you guys are building on Poinciana, I think he said it was like 2 years out or 3 years out.
Definitely 2 years out. I'm not opposed to that, and again, if the sheriff, I know the sheriff wants to put that uniformed tourist policing unit out here. But right now we probably more than a year out on that. The reason for that is that not only do we have to restaff community services, we got to restaff CID. That we're going to have a high profile offender unit, right? That we want to put together so we can get sex offenders, more sex offenders. We only got 2 sex offender detectives in the whole county, and the sex offender community has grown in this county. I don't want to call it exponentially, but it has grown significantly. And so we have to put more presence with that, right? Because there's no, you know, I know people have the right to live, but those are the people that offenders that we have to really pay attention to. So the tourist policing unit, maybe something that I will suggest to the sheriff that we're gonna do. Maybe it's something we can do instead of 5 deputies immediately. We can start it with a sergeant and 2 deputies, right? And then do it that way. And again, the building could be a great idea. However, you also have to look at the cost of retrofitting that building into a CDD compliance, and that's where the cost and the limit and the challenge is going to come. Right? Nobody can have access. You gotta have this. You gotta have access with this, and only people with CDD clearance can enter the building. And then if you're a visitor, then you have to sign in, you have to do on, so on and so forth. Though,
And that's what I'm saying. I wasn't pitching it to him as, hey, we're trying to revisit. I just mentioned it's something we had talked about before, and he perked up on it. So if there's no interest or it's not practical,
I wish our station would be a celebration. To be honest with you, I mean, no better place, honestly.
Yeah.
No better place than celebration. I'm being serious.
Geographically,
Take Applebee's.
God, please,
No, you can take Applebee's. It's not
Yeah, listen, don't set me with a good time, please. Because on a serious note, honestly, I'm not opposed, but it's the county. It's the county. I'm not opposed to celebration. To be, an area where the county can build something on the outskirts of celebration, right? I'm not opposed to that one bit. Please build it. Celebration way. I'm not opposed to that at all. I don't think the sheriff is either. I know, however, that the county has its own plans, and how is that going to look like? Don't know at this point. But it's something that, again, if the county is willing to, because the Applebee's, great location, by the way. It's kind of hidden, right? It's kind of, but also when you have a building, you got to have it secure, right? And you got to put a fence around it. Again, CDD compliance, right? And that's the problem. That's the challenge. But I mean, I wish celebration will have a piece of dirt. We can, hey, there you go, lease it for 99 years for $1 or whatever, and the county can build on it, right? And
Wish we had a piece of dirt to build.
yeah, I'm telling you right now. I mean,
go by the steps.
I will scream in the steps of the courthouse to be in favor of that. To be honest with you, what a great idea that would be, right? So, but I don't think that's something that's feasible at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if it again, we won't push it. I mean, that's for you guys if you're interested, if you want to walk through whatever. It's up there. It's not a lot of space, but
Yeah.
it's isolated. The only other question I had that wasn't on the agenda was we had what?
I knew it. I knew you were gonna ask more questions on the agenda.
Wait, it's not on the agenda?
Well, don't interrupt.
Just one.
It'll be quick.
Do you have any suggestions? As far as we did the license plate cameras a couple of years ago that I feel like have been
Phenomenal.
useful.
Um,
Well, and we were
that's
getting,
money spent.
for the first 3 or 4 months, I was getting phone calls every other time you guys had a tag come. It was great. I mean, hey, we caught a guy, we got this, we got that. If we can get quarterly, semi-annual, and just something to show that there's utility from the cameras. We're not looking for anything that's sensitive or whatever else. But, hey, we caught 20 stolen cars and absconded sex offender or whatever. Just something to help us judge, because it's 35,000 a year in the budget.
Yeah.
Something like that. We're paying.
It's
just something we can take it.
Just for the.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if there are any other, I mean, we had talked 2 years ago about not LPRs, but just regular cameras. And I know you guys have like an integration with your, Intel unit to be able to get that in the feeds. And that's something we may decide to take a look at again. But if there's any other suggestions for a community piece of things that aren't necessarily more details, but what help.
Our crime unit is now doing our real time crime center doing now is we contacting like businesses, right?
Mhm.
And to have a feed of those businesses, and we provide, this is the not come to us. It doesn't come to us. It comes to the company, but we're trying to, like, Ring is doing neighborhood Ring.
Yeah.
Pretty much it's the same system.
Yep.
So one of the best purchases that Celebration have done is attack readers. I mean, that thing is everywhere. It's all throughout the county, and trust me when I tell you, that solves crimes like that. You know, most of the time, the Rio Crime Center that we have, it is phenomenal. You know, it's truly, it's just the best of the best.
Yeah.
To be honest, and I'm typing here to Heath, just the captain in here, to address your crime stats, monthly crime stats, and the type reader issue to see if that's something that to provide.
Just some good news stories.
To, Gary.
Yep.
And so
Really loves good news.
we can address that. And you know, and I don't know where the ball was dropped. I don't know when it stopped. I don't know why it was stopped. But we can re-engage that and take care of that. I don't see a big problem with that.
Transparency.
We can take care of that.
Well, glad to hear.
Anything else?
We had one question.
I know, that's good. That is, it's, well.
Adjourn the meeting.
No, yes, yeah, I will adjourn the meeting. There's no audience.
Nobody online for.
No, just Jan.
Jan, any allies?
No, nothing else.
Don't move.
All right, thank you, everyone.
So does the cat.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Follow-up meeting on holiday event management, just reach out to you.
You can, yeah, absolutely. I like working with celebration.